robot, and they can't quite make their mind sometimes. I don't know if that's the case, but anyway, regarding this helmet off thing, I think Pablo is just doubling down, not only for the sake of because he wants the show as it is to keep going, but he's an actor and he wants. I sympathize with that to a degree. Like all actors, want to be in stuff so they can be seen and point to themselves like that was me, or like they don't even need to. It's like that's me. I sometimes wonder with shows with like helmeted characters, for instance, if what's his name didn't show up that day, or he's stuck in traffic, it's just like let's just get one of the grips or a janitor, put the suit on him, and then just grab this shot quickly, right? Because all you got to do is some body acting. I'm not saying there's no skill involved, but like sometimes all you need is the face for like a certain shot. But anyway, they're saying that you need the helmet needs to come off to explore the humanity of this character, and it's just not true. The games have demonstrated this already. The Halo games themselves, there's plenty of cutscenes that explore the humanity of Chief, but also like the war machine side of him. That's what the helmet functions as. It's a storytelling device. It's a metaphor for the mask that he has to put on as a soldier to sort of block his humanity from the enemy seeing it, and shield, like blocking off your humanity to do what's necessary, what's deemed necessary by your nation, or in this case, planetary existence, right? And it's already been demonstrated that you don't really need faces to inform people of thoughts and emotions of a character that you're watching. This was demonstrated in the 1910s. There's a guy called Lev Kuleshov, I think his name is, and he has this historical film editing example of juxtaposing a guy with like a serious face against a number of different objects. And every time there's a different object juxtaposed with the same face, the audience is thinking different things. They're saying, oh, that guy's, like if it's a bicycle, it's like, oh, that guy's staring longingly at that bicycle. He really wants to go for a bike ride. Or if it's food, it's like, oh man, he's hungry. Or if he's staring at a woman, it's like, oh, he's staring so lustfully at that person. And it's the juxtaposition that's informing them of the thoughts and feelings, not the face. Hitchcock demonstrated this in a filmmaking editing example as well. And so the idea that Pablo now and the crew are saying, no, we need to do this. You don't understand. It's like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. And not only is there plenty of examples to prove you wrong, the Halo games themselves have already proven you wrong, and parts of your own show that you've done already in season 1. There's a part in season 1 where Chief has his helmet on and he's looking around his childhood home, and it's just like shots of him with his helmet on looking around. And it sort of magnifies the audience's consideration of what might be going on in his head, and I think actually makes it a bit more interesting. I'm not trying to downplay like facial acting or anything, but Pablo's an actor. I don't expect him to quite understand film editing and film theory to its full extent, but he's just like saying all this stuff as if it's fact and what they're doing is the right way of doing it. And I find it irritating. But I'm still going to watch season 2. I want to see
Sucker.
what they turn it into. Yeah.
I gotta say, with Pedro Pascal for The Mandalorian, for the most part, right, he barely has helmet off on the first season, and it was executed pretty well, I'd have to say, with the whole helmet. You could tell what he was thinking just by like his body movement, the way his helmet was looking down certain angles. I thought they did a great job, and then they went and just took off his helmet for like a good chunk of season 2, and I was like,
My little look of disagreement there was when you said they did it well. I'm like, he just takes his helmet off to eat soup in front, like with an open window and a bunch of people walking out. Yeah, this guy's not even trying to keep his helmet on all the time.
well, no, I was saying like acting-wise, like how you can understand what he's thinking. Yeah,
I'm just saying, if anyone saw me when you said they did it well, and I was like, ooh, that turned into the Christian Bale meme. But
I just think these actors are just so high and mighty. They want to, like what John says, they want to be seen. But that's not your job. Your job is to portray a character that millions and billions of people love, right? So do your job.
I replied to the original like IGN tweet where they shared it. It was the same one that you guys I think did shared a retweet of in the thing. But I saw the original one and I just said like false, and then posted a GIF of V from V for Vendetta. Because I'm like, look, that's a French mime, like a master French mime, and Hugo Weaving's voice, and those two people together made a very very memorable character who conveys a lot of emotion, and not just through his voice deliveries, not through his line deliveries. It's also through the looks that he's giving and the way he's moving his head. And you can tell that the person they got to do the body acting was someone who was like an expert in it and was able to convey a lot with just the way he moves. He was always very graceful when he was in the hideout talking to Natalie Portman. But then when it's time to fight, he kind of gets a little more gritty. And I thought that they showed those character differences quite well in V for Vendetta. So the idea that you can't possibly have a character whose face you never see and feel something for them, I'm like, that isn't true though. Like honestly, the easiest example that you can give anyone is Darth Vader, probably.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. You only see his face for like what, 2 seconds?
Dredd and RoboCop are a little bit different because you can see a bit of their face, but I think both Carl Urban's performance in Dredd and Peter Weller's performance in RoboCop, it's almost like they were very much taking it seriously and doing their best to seem as machine-like as they could, so that when they did just give that little bit glimmer of emotion, you really did feel it. And I think both RoboCop and Dredd are good examples of that.
Yeah. And I'm not even against, really, Chief's helmet coming off in the show at certain points. I think you can write scenes where you could get away with that, but they have him take off his helmet at the dumbest fucking times. Like on the battlefield, he just takes it off. It's like, what are you doing? There could be a jackal sniper that could take you out in one hit right now. Plus, you're destroying the whole. Right.
Yeah, Intel.
Exactly. You got the radar on there, and they did set that up because they have a POV shot from inside the helmet in episode 1 where you see a little radar thing. Like you're getting these live tactical data on the fly. And not only that, wearing the helmet is a war tactic to scare the enemy. Because the Spartans are supposed to be these faceless demons, and when they show up, the Covenant are meant to go like, oh shit, But once the helmet comes off, it's just like, oh, he's just a guy. And then that can destroy morale and give the Covenant the edge, like the courage to just be like, these guys aren't so tough. Like there's a fear element there that works tactically for the UNSC.
Mm-hmm.
But
the only thing, sorry, I didn't realize you were finished.
No, I think I said it. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say that they did show Master Chief's face once in the games, and it's for like a frame if you beat Halo 4 on Legendary. Because then basically Halo 4 ends with him going in this big machine that takes off the Mjolnir armor, and if you beat it on any other difficulty, the helmet lifts off and it just cuts to black. But if you beat it on Legendary, the helmet comes off and you see just the eyes of an old man, like just an old weathered man who is probably far older than you would maybe be picturing Master Chief in your head. But that's it exactly.
Oh, right, yeah. I forgot about that.
Little frame.
I thought it was the back of his head for some reason.
No, it's his eyes. But like, the thing is, this goes the thing that I've been pissed off about with how they've been dealing with difficulty in trophies lately, where you can now get like platinum a game on PlayStation without any difficulty-based trophies. Like you can beat God of War on easy and still get every single trophy in the game. So me beating on God of War is something you'll just have to trust me on because I have no trophy with which to prove it. But that was, I think, an excellent thing they did where there is a tangible reward for especially fans of the series and guys who would take the time to go through Halo 4 on Legendary. I gotta say, it's a grindy one. The Prometheans are pretty tough when they start sniping. But yeah, and I thought that was nice to get that as a reward. So on the show, it's just very cheap in comparison.
All right. I've been digesting a news story that just kind of popped up. We're going to get to that in just a second. I'm very intrigued by it. Very intrigued by this news story. It really just sprang up in the last 10 minutes or so. I'll get to that. Scarpy says Halo should have been done as a Super Sentai.
So that's like a Power Rangers type show. Like a team of people like Voltron or something where they have suits and then they have machines and the machines combine into a big thing.
Nutmike says maybe they could have just artfully showed certain segments of his face every now and then. but never the whole face.
I think a good way to do it would be to have they only take their helmets off when it's just the Spartans together.
Yeah.
So like the only time they're out in the Mjolnir armor is maybe a few scenes per season where it's like they finished a battle and they're like undressed, they're out of the Mjolnir armor, and then maybe not even have them talk when they do that. So be like you can either have them speaking and like acting like normal people when they're in the thing, but when the second they have their moment of rest, it's like they look each other in the eye. They all kind of, I mean, at least the main, I don't know who the characters are on the show because I know they did their own timeline, but at least in
drink from
more
another
modern Halo lore, like, sorry, the actual Halo lore, it would be John, who's Master Chief, Fred, oh God, I'm forgetting the sniper's name, named Katie. Linda and Katie. And then they would be the only ones that you would see. And I think that would be a really good way to keep the mystery while still being able to show their face and give them powerful performances. But, you know.
Mark, you have a podcast that you do on a day-to-day or a regular basis?
I'm actually, well, I mean, not really a gaming one. I stream often all the time, but I'm on starting Sunday at 11 a.m. on Metal Commander's channel. I'm going to be regularly hosting Metals Forge with them on Sundays. So it's also another show that if you guys want to watch an episode of that show, John and I are on there talking about Tears of the Kingdom with Fringy and Metal Commander for like 5 hours.
Awesome. Almond John over on Rumble has a long message, but the long and short of it is that he says, I don't want to leave the stream, and then he tries to give us the same. Thank you so much, Almond. Lauren Wolf says, hey, hi Craig, glad to see you. Maybe I am being old, but is the amount of drama around Power World crazy? We're going to talk about Power World in just a little bit. Thanks, Lone Wolf. We got that on our.
I don't think it's really that crazy. I mean, if you look at Hogwarts Legacy, that shit was blown out of the water. And this
Sounds like a woman who hasn't lost her wife to it.
Mo said, okay, you guilted me into coming back. Don't mind my crotchety peanut gallery comments. Well, thank you, Mo. Appreciate it. Glad you're here. Lone Wolf says, okay, now I can rant. Why don't these actors/directors understand why you never saw the mask come off the Lone Ranger? Batman's cowl, Spider-Man's mask. It is the symbolism as well. Thank you, Lone Wolf. Appreciate that. And Dan says, I watched the first season of Halo. I thought it was rough. It looked really cool in live action from video game, but I didn't really like it. Look at this CR Box coming in with 10 gifted memberships to the channel. If you guys got gifted membership, say, thank you. That's massive. I really, really appreciate your support. That puts us at 10, halfway to our goal of 20 for the day.
is a lot of green in the chat just now. Nothing.
We can go paint that chat green. Hey, do me a favor. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at it.
Right, let me pop it on the wall. Guys, got anything else to read? Anything else to share? No.
No.
Right.
All I have to say is that I don't call CBS Halo Master Chief. I call him Master Chiefs. I don't know.
That's appropriate.
Yes.
Right. Okay, we have a little bit of a breaking news, actually, and this is intriguing to me. I don't know if it's intriguing to anybody else. Does anybody watch pro wrestling? No. Right here, there's something going on with Vince McMahon. Over the last
Over the last 40 years?
Pretty tough stuff. He was booted out of the company for a little bit, but he's still majority holder. But from a frontman perspective, he was removed. Have you heard about all this? No.
Not in specific terms though, but I did hear that he got kind of like stepped down to a more behind the scenes role like 2 years ago or something. Am I remembering that? Yeah,
that is correct. And then he recently came back. Well, some news came out this morning, which is, I mean, it's all speculation at this point. I'll say this. It sounds pretty fucked up. I just want to read this tweet here. This is from WrestleOps over on Twitter. So, and it's going to be fully, this is not on the.
Spent 14 minutes on our lunch break.
A woman who received a payout from deputy boss Vince McMahon has accused McMahon, the company, and a former executive of sex trafficking in a new lawsuit that raises questions about the breadth of an internal company probe conducted by a law firm last year. Janelle Grant, a former employee at WWE headquarters, said in a lawsuit filed Thursday that she was abused and sexually exploited by McMahon while he was chief executive. She alleged that McMahon lured her with promises of career advancement, and then he allegedly exploited her and trafficked her to other men inside the company. The lawsuit filed in Connecticut federal court describes in graphic detail Grant's account of interactions with the businessman in TV and person. She alleged that McMahon and other WWE executives locked her in an office in WWE's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut on June 15th, 2021, and then took turns sexually assaulting her while other staff were working. In the middle of another workday on June 23rd, 2021,
I can't tell you anything bad about me, man.
Inside his private locker room at WWE's offices and forced himself on her over a massage table, those suits said. Later that day, McMahon's personal assistant delivered a $15,000 Bloomingdale gift card to Grant in her office. The suit also includes screenshots of explicit text messages that McMahon allegedly sent to Grant. A 2020, one from May 2020 said, "I'm the one who and controls who I want to fuck you." Wow. This is pretty freaking dark, man. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that goes beyond the, hey, they're pretty wild in the wrestling industry, aren't they?
Right. And I read into this article while you guys were talking about that. I was
The Microsoft
reading the Wall Street
X,
Journal article about
the
this as
Series
well,
X.
And this is even more messed up, man.
That's fucked up. The rest of them shit that all that stuff they'd have.
Videos of her without consent with other WWE employees, unnamed executives, and stars, and directed her to have sex with them. The suit cited a July 2020 text that said McMahon.
With them. It was with them, not with him.
Yes, yeah, with them.
Oh.
The suit cited a July 2020 text that said others at WWE wanted to have sex with her after seeing photos on McMahon's phone, and the group laughed when he told them. She may scream and try to say no, although it would be difficult to say anything.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
This is kind of like, this is one of those things where, as I'm just reacting to this initially and seeing this live, Vince McMahon, the character, was always like super sleazy and super, he was like this womanizing guy, right? And that was kind of part of the character. And you see this, and if this is true, the character of the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, if that's the case. And it's also really like, Vince McMahon has never been a hero of mine, but I have admired his acumen, right? And it'd be a really big fall from grace from where he was a decade or 2 decades ago, compared to, if this goes through and let's say there's criminal charges and there is some sort of, truth to this, which, you never know, right? They say there's pictures and text messages and all sorts of stuff. And if that's there, but you try to stay neutral when hearing something like this, but then you hear those exact those things and you read text messages or what are supposedly text messages. That's like really kind of crazy. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Vlad, what are your thoughts on this?
This is my thoughts. If true, then arrest them all. If false, she needs to go to jail because this could totally. Both of them are pieces of shit. But it was a whole scandal when he wasn't actually doing the things he was accused of, and of slander. He got fired from Warner Brothers, etc., etc. So people shouldn't be losing their jobs over allegations. I think how this was already handled is pretty shitty because it's just kind of been leaked and announced. And are there police reports? That's another question, right? Like as the chat was saying. Yeah, I would be hesitant to believe anything just because anyone can say anything on the internet, and how do you know if it's real or not?
It's generally not a good idea to speculate on the outcome of allegations in general, even when they sound really bad. Like, I mean, even like we all kind of had some visceral reactions as Greg was telling us that, and I think that those are warranted because it's like, oh man, if that's true, that's terrible. But I think I will always, at least personally, just try to make the distinction and be like, well, at this point, we don't really know anything. We know post-article excerpt, and that's pretty much it. So. Right. And, I mean, I think that if this is all true, then I think she should pursue legal action, and I think that no one, no matter who you are, should always pay the price for the consequences of your actions. And no matter how long it's been or how long you've been doing it and getting away with it. Because I mean, just because people have been telling you, oh well, Vince, you're a superstar or whatever, you don't play by the same rules as everyone else for 30, 40 years, that still doesn't mean it's right. Or like I said, man, is it 50 now? Because like I said 40 years initially to be like, that's how long wrestling was around while I've been alive, because that's roughly my age.
Yeah, as Retromeister says,